From advertising to software as a service to data.
Across all of our programs and clients, we've seen a 55 to 65% open rate.
Getting brands authentically integrated into content performs better than TV advertising.
Typical lifespan of an article is about 24 to 36 hours.
If we're reaching out to the right person with the right message and a clear call to action, then it's just a matter of timing.
Welcome to the MarTech Podcast, and I Hear Everything production. In this podcast, you'll hear the stories of world-class marketers that use technology to drive business results and achieve career success. We'll unearth the real-world experiences of some of the brightest minds in the marketing and technology space so you can learn the tools, tips, and tricks they've learned along the way. Now here's the host of the MarTech Podcast, Benjamin Shapiro.
Welcome to the MarTech Podcast. I'm your host, Benjamin Shapiro, and today we're going to talk about the use of technology and how it impacts our kids. Joining us is Lomit Patel, who is the Chief Growth Officer at Tynker, which is the world's leading K-12 creative coding platform, enabling students of all ages to develop coding skills and design power animation, games, music, robots, drones, smart devices, virtual worlds like Minecraft, and more. Yesterday, Lomit and I talked about the do's and don'ts when marketing to kids, and today we're going to continue our conversation talking about the rise of lean AI. All right, here's the second part of my conversation with Lomit Patel, the Chief Growth Officer at Tynker. Lomit, welcome back to the MarTech Podcast.
Great to be back.
Excited to have you back here and continue our conversation. You know, yesterday we talked about the tricks and tools of the trade when you're marketing to groups that you're not supposed to have access to. Basically, you can't really send advertising to kids, so you need virality and content that they're going to find. And in your case, you're marketing to school districts and parents with the hope that kids end up using your product, teaching them to code. I want to talk a little bit about some of the technologies that are related to marketing, but also related to coding and learning. We've seen this gigantic rise of artificial intelligence this year. You know, how do you think about the rise of AI, lean AI specifically, and where you use it in your business?
Yeah, so the way I define AI is pretty much how do you get a machine to think and act like a human and to be able to do it at scale. So with Lean AI, it's really the title of the book that I wrote. That was part of the Eric Ries Lean Startup series. And the big concept there, it's all around experimentation. And the question is, how do you test, learn, and iterate as quickly as possible? So, Benjamin, I know you're familiar with startups, and the failure rate in startups are pretty high.
And I've read the Lean AI.
That's right, yeah. So the thing around Lean AI is really, how can you increase your velocity of learning to really figure out what's the best way to acquire customers, retain, monetize users, and to be able to run experiments at scale to really figure out how to be as efficient as possible. And the lean part of that is the AI is really using your data, because there's so much data that's around us now right now, but data by itself isn't going to add a lot of value unless you can really extract insights and value out of that pretty quickly and take action. And the lean part is to really be able to do that with a small team and trying to be as scrappy as possible, because I've worked for startups for over 20 years. And there's one thing that you don't have is a lot of resources. So you have to always try to think creative. So the lean part really comes down to trying to automate as much of those tasks and processes to really help you to execute and use that data.
So there's some people who haven't read through the Lean series of books. But the idea is it's testing and iteration. You're going to start small, get a signal, and try to continue to iterate off of what's working. Talk to me about using the lean methodology specifically in AI. What have you learned? You know, what makes lean AI and where is it being applied?
Yeah, so where lean AI is generally sort of applied when it comes to marketing is a couple of use cases, but one's really around optimizing your budget. Everybody that works in growth marketing is tasked with trying to spend their budget as efficiently as possible to acquire customers. And so where Lean AI can help is really to be able to help you to figure out who are the right customers you should be targeting across all the different channels like Facebook, Google, and so many others, and to be able to find those users as efficiently as possible and to be able to target them with the right creatives and the right ads, and to be able to pay the right amount when it comes to different bids and budgets that you want to spend to target those users so that you can acquire them and target them most efficiently as possible. And then the other part of that is when you have them sort of come to your product or your website, you can try to create different personalized experiences to really figure out what's the most relevant experiences to really get them to engage and get them onboarded so that they can be retained as quickly as possible, so that ultimately you can really figure out what's the right way to monetize them to increase your lifetime value on those users.
There's the notion of using artificial intelligence to optimize your media spend. We get a lot of data. There's also the artificial intelligence behind GPT chat, DALL-E 2, OpenAI. Have you spent any time thinking about what's happening sort of not with the data analysis, big data portion of artificial intelligence, but more the real learning, computer brain, and creative production?
I have. I feel creative is really important, especially now that it's getting a lot harder to be able to target users as accurately as previously because of a lot of data privacy rules that are coming into place. So creative plays a much more of an important role in terms of how you tell your story. And a lot of these tools that are coming out really enable you to be able to build new creative at scale, which is important. And where AI can help is trying to sort of map that creative to the right types of users that you may want to try to target. Even if you can't target them specifically using your first-party data, you can try to target them based on contextual signals like interests and behaviors that would still be able to resonate with those different users.
The story of the year for me is the rise of these rich artificial intelligence, where it was explained to me there's basically 3 waves of artificial intelligence. First was kind of if this, then that style, how to play chess. And the world's chess champion is a computer. And the second was analyzing large formats of data and understanding trends. And now we're basically in the point of learning machines that can understand behavior. As you look into the crystal ball and you think about some of the applications, what do you think is the biggest impact these new wave of artificial intelligence products are going to have on marketing, and specifically for you, marketing to kids?
One thing that we're all seeing around us is the rise of automation. There's a lot of jobs that are being automated right now. And one of the reasons why a lot of these jobs are being automated is because they have a lot of artificial intelligence that enables to accelerate that process, to let the machine do things that it wasn't able to do before. And especially when it comes to marketing to kids, there's a number of areas where artificial intelligence can help. I can give you some examples, like for us at Tynker, because one of our mission, which is a huge, bold goal, which is to get every high school student to be exposed to learning to code by 2033. And the reason why we got that as our mission is because we know that a lot of the jobs that are going to be growing in the future are all going to be related to tech. And so the more that we can expose kids to learning tech, the better it sets them up for future career success. And so the way I've been trying to implement some AI here at Tynker is all around trying to build a better personalized experience to really get kids that are coming into our product to be able to get engaged with the product, to be able to learn how to use the product as quickly as possible. Because the biggest challenge we find is that the quicker that we can get kids excited about using our product, the more they're likely to continue to use the product. And the more they use it, the more they're going to get excited around the whole area of learning to code, as well as building those critical skills for other areas of STEM. And so what we do with AI, I'll give you one example. So we look at a lot of the data, so we're able to map out what's the ideal user journey that a child needs to go through that gets them really engaged with our product. And by looking at other kids that are really highly engaged in the product, and then we reverse engineer through AI to try and build similar experiences and to try and navigate kids that are coming into the product for the first time to follow a similar user journey, because we know that if they follow that user path, they're going to be more likely to be more engaged and to be able to stick around and be excited about coding. At Tynker, and I think I mentioned this before, but I just want to reiterate, one of the things that really excites us at Tynker is really our mission, which is to trying to expose every child who graduates high school to be exposed to coding. That's a really bold goal, which is why we're really vested into not only working through school districts, but also trying to get a lot of parents to get excited around coding so that we can really get both teachers and parents to be able to influence the kids who ultimately will benefit by being exposed to learn to code.
As a parent of young children and somebody who works in MarTech and thinks about this stuff, There's a path to think about, and this is more of a thought exercise of artificial intelligence is going to automate a lot of work so we don't have to do it. That leaves the question of, well, what are our kids going to be doing if the artificial intelligence continues to iterate at the pace that it is? Is there going to be the type of work as we know it? Obviously, humans are still going to have some sort of an input in being productive, and I don't think work is going away, but the nature of our kids' work is going to change, and understanding technology and being able to manipulate it becomes more and more important for future generations. Something that we might all want to keep our eye on is making sure that our kids have a job to do when it's their turn. And that wraps up this episode of the Martech Podcast. Thanks for listening to my conversation with Lomit Patel, the Chief Growth Officer at Tynker. If you'd like to get in touch with Lomit, you can find a link to his LinkedIn profile in our show notes. You can contact him on Twitter. His handle is Patellom, which is Patellom, or you could visit his company's website, which is tynker.com, Tynker.com. Just one more link in our show notes I'd like to tell you about. If you didn't have a chance to take notes while you were listening to this podcast, head over to martechpod.com, where we have summaries of all of our episodes and contact information for our guests. You can also subscribe to our weekly newsletter, and you can even send us your topic suggestions or your marketing questions, which we'll answer live on our show. Of course, you can always reach out on social media. Our handle is martechpod, MARTECHPOD, on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or you can contact me directly. My handle is Ben J. Shap, BenJShap. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you want a daily stream of marketing and technology knowledge in your podcast feed, we're going to publish an episode every day this year. So hit the subscribe button in your podcast app and we'll be back in your feed tomorrow morning. All right, that's it for today. But until next time, my advice is to just focus on keeping your customers happy.